This is Infection, the survival podcast recorded live on Tuesday, February 2nd, 2021, episode 316. Oh, lots of twos there. 2-2-2-2-2-2. This is Infection, the survival podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Infection is your source for the latest information on survival video games. We bring you the latest news, reviews, updates, and more each and every week. My name is Nick Craig. You can follow me on Gab. Not a big deal. Kind of verified. Kind of a couple thousand followers. At Nick. You can also check out my political rantings at atnshow.com. And of course, this program, all of the things are available at infectionpodcast.com. Also a big deal on the Evil Empire YouTube is Brian with an I Aldrich.
Hello. Hey,
How are you?
if you want to find, I'm doing pretty good. If you want to find me, you always have to go check, but I think it's at Brian Aldrich on Gab still. And
It is.
someday Parlor, we'll get there, maybe.
Yeah. No.
Also, if you want to go check out my website, biteoftech.com, and then go check out our website, infectionpodcast.com. If you go to the right-hand side there, I did rearrange things a little bit this week, but it's all still there.
Okay.
That way I don't have to remember DLive. You know, you ever hit a point, like I've not been flustered enough to where I couldn't remember, but when you're looking at the screen and then you're like, oh, there.
But the DLive logo's at the top.
I know, but I'm doing this on the fly and I have to look at the little icon and remember the name.
Oh,
Okay.
These new logos look good, Brian.
Yeah,
Nice.
so it's kind of going through and just updated a few things, but we
We're
got
in the
a
podcast
link
index?
to our
look
Discord
at that.
server on there.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's all
Sorry, go
working.
ahead. Sorry.
So we got our Discord server on there. If you want to pop into that, you can chat throughout the week. You can post things to the news channel. We had a lot of people posting news throughout the week this week, which really helps. Also, we have a politics, a weight loss channel, all kinds of stuff you can do in there. And then our Steam group, if you happen to be sitting at your computer on a Tuesday and we're starting the show, you should get a little pop-up notification if you follow our group. And that will remind you to jump in, join in the chat, join in for the game giveaway. Then we have our video form of the podcast, which goes through YouTube. We do it here on Twitch Live. We also have it on BitChute and DLive. And then we have our pre and post show that Judd does for us. And we put that on the podcast extras channel. Now, if you want to listen to the podcast, maybe on the road or at work or something like that, we have the podcast form, which works in a lot of different apps, a lot of different ways to listen to that. And if you do happen to be listening, and you can click on the lower right-hand side to find what works best for you. But you can follow along in the show notes. And so we'll have 316 now episodes worth of show notes once you're to the point where you can listen to it. And if you want to just pop onto one of those pages, there's a video player, there's an audio player, and you can click through all the links to be able to check out all the different things that we're talking about. And so as we're going through a different topic, you can maybe watch a video. If you're not watching the actual video of us, follow along, and that really helps. If you want to support us, there's a support tab on there, or you can go to infectionpodcast.com/support. Or if you want to go directly, amazon.infectionpodcast.com, humble.infectionpodcast.com, or through Twitch Gaming or Prime Gaming or whatever they call them now, through Twitch. You can do that, and that helps add up to pay for our trip to PAX, which we have faith that will happen this year.
Yes, absolutely. I will say this, Brian, we've gotten a couple of requests about this. I got two private this week about having another option to subscribe outside of Twitch. So you and I need to get together at some point this week and hammer that out. Either maybe, I know Subscribestar is a pretty popular service that a lot of services use. I know BitChute uses them for fundraising and a couple of others. So we'll look at that, and we will have something for you guys, because
we'll have something figured out by next week as far as we may not have it set up, but we'll have a decision made.
Yes, we will. So I appreciate everybody keep wanting to support us. Sorry that we're so lax with it. We shouldn't be, because you guys are willing to support us, but there's no excuse.
People
will
are
have
asking
something
to give us money, and we're dragging feet. That's
I know,
crazy.
I know. It's almost unconscionable, and there's no excuse besides Brian and I just both being lazy about it. So we will have a solution for y'all. By the way, Brian and I just sit here all day, and we sit here, we talk, we browse the internet,
that's all we do all day.
We gossip, we have our little book clubs, and so it's not like there's anything else going on. But yes, we will have something for you next week for a some sort of Twitch alternative solution for a monthly subscription. So,
and on that note, I was going to mention, so I told you that I got a Roku, and so I've been kind of testing and setting that up because I'm working on taking out my I won't say the words, the fires and all that, the
Fire
fire
devices.
TVs and things. Yes,
Now,
that won't trigger anybody's devices. So
let me ask you: Are you?
yes.
How long have you been using the Roku?
Well, I took out the Fire TV 2 days ago officially, but I've been using it for about a week.
The Roku is the best streaming device they make.
Yeah. So I got the Roku
it's
Ultra.
Freaking incredible.
And it does everything. So there's not all the voice stuff, but that's the stuff we were wanting to get rid of anyways. Well, I mean, I can talk to it if I push a button, but I'm saying it's not always listening, which I appreciate. There is a lot more flexibility. It seems like I've been able to add. Amazon gets that probably triggered somebody's, but that will that listens all the time, and it's just I see things that I talked about just in my house in a private conversation, then showing up in ads the next day. And I know it's that because it was never discussed anywhere else and never searched anything on it. And I just got tired of that. Plus, with all the political things going on, I figured I would go with the Roku. And with the Roku, I've been able to install the apps. Amazon gets to where they fight with people. Like they wouldn't let HBO's app on there for a while because they didn't want the competition. There's all this politics where there seems to be a lot more flexibility with the Roku. And I know you've made apps for it. People can actually make apps for it.
There are politics with Roku. They're going through it right now. For example, the Spectrum app is no longer on the store because they're in a dispute with that. It'll be resolved. They are a little. It is a closed. Now, the one benefit of the Amazon devices over the Roku set of devices is it's an open platform, so you can side load apps onto your Amazon device. You cannot side load apps onto the Roku. It's just not possible. It's a closed. It's like an iPhone.
One thing I thought it was odd because I did look up is there custom firmware or anything like that? I was kind of surprised that they didn't let you do that.
Yeah, and it's kind of like it's similar to the iPhone a little bit, Brian. Right? Where would it be nice to be able to side load things? Yes, but I've had my original Roku 3, which I've got here. And by the way, Judd is saying you can add custom private channels. You can.
And I've been testing those. They're like some little games that they've added.
Yeah,
and things
there
like
are
that.
some of that stuff in there, but for the most part, it's not like I know on the Fire you can load like all these like crazy
Android
streaming TV services and like all this illegal pirate stuff. You can do all that stuff on Android. You can't really do that on Plex.
Which I'm not so concerned about. I mean, a Plex, because I pretty much run Plex on it, but I put on Amazon Music, Tidal for music, the various stream. It has everything I was running on the old one without all the extra junk. I like that I can kind of clean it up more. Like it's with the Fire, there's just so much stuff. Like you can't get rid of all the stuff to where I just removed everything except for the apps that I want, and I was able to lock it down. So if the kids go there, they can't access all this stuff. Melmo's talking about Kodi, which is kind of like Plex as far as you can connect to it. I think they have a client too, right? Kind of like that you can launch to view it.
Kodi is what
I've never used it personally.
Kodi is what Xbox Media Center or server used to be. XBMC then became Kodi, and that is very popular. I think I've actually got that side loaded on my Fire Stick somewhere. But the nice thing about the Roku is similar to the iOS ecosystem is, yes, it would be nice to have maybe some little things, but for the most part, it does everything. So there really isn't a need for a huge, robust side load community. The interface is really snappy. You got the Ultra, which is like the $79 or $89 one. It's the fastest one they make. It's incredibly responsive. It's got the screensavers are really cool. I like that. It goes to a screensaver that is a nice motion background. So like I keep my TV in my living room on sometimes and you see the background spin. They're just nice devices. I've always liked them. They have all of the casting built in. I don't know if you've played around with that, but they do Air. I saw it. They do all the app casting. It works really well. You can even install an app so that you can connect it to Windows 10 as a wireless display, and you can like kind of Chromecast per se your actual full computer monitor. They're cool devices. I'm happy with them. I actually, Brian, you'll like this because this is totally on topic. I purchased an HD home run from Silicon Dust, I believe is their name. And and it's a a network TV tuner. So I purchased one of those. It should be coming either tomorrow or Thursday. It's the 4.
I actually use one of those
version.
here.
Which one do you
so
have?
I use that in
one?
conjunction. Yeah, and I use that in conjunction with the Plex.
That's what I'm.
So that's my DVR, and so I just have it record on there, and then I can stream, whatever TV.
So I'm moving away, and I don't have cable. I haven't since I've moved here. Or since I've been in North Carolina. Since I left home, I've not had cable. So I've got antennas on my TVs now, but the one antenna is nicer than all the others, so I get more channels. And sometimes if it's really windy out, I don't get as good coverage in here. So scrapping all that, gonna put one nice big antenna up in the attic, run a cable down to my HD home run, hook it up to my Plex server, and then I'll be using.
And you should hit me up when you get to the point of antennas, because I found one. I did a lot of research and found one that just is awesome.
Channel
Master? It picks up. No, well, I'll have to look up the brand, but it's one that goes up on the roof. Actually, I mean, gotcha. I put it up on a pole on the roof, and the thing just picks up everything.
So that's cool. I'm glad you come over to the Roku side. I know our friend Nissan Communications. He was a big Amazon guy for a while. Once you get the Roku, man, it is a hard. You will never go back. The Amazons are so sluggish. The UI is garbage. You know what the Amazon TV reminds me of? Is the freaking Kindle. Did you ever have an original Kindle? All the shit that they would pop up on those devices. It's like every time you wanted to use it, you'd have to click past screens and ads, and it was like, Jesus. Like, what is this?
And I didn't really notice it. I didn't really notice it so much until I started trying putting on the parental controls, and then just realizing that they put on so many things, like even on the main screen, that you can't block. I mean, you can say, all right, don't, if they click this, you have to put a pin to open it. But there's still all this junk there. I can't get it narrowed down to, here's the 4 things that you can open on. If I get one just for them, put on the 4 apps that they can open, and then put parental controls on there, to limit things inside of those. You can't do that on the Fire. It's just, it installs all these things. You have all these things. You have YouTube app. You can't take those off. You can't take off the web browser. It's just, I wasn't very happy with how it worked in that area. So I've tested it all on the Roku, and it was much better. Yeah,
it really the Fire TV interface kind of also reminds me of like the Xbox One interface, which is just terribly laid out. They fixed it in later generations, but it's just clunky. You were never able to find where what you wanted was, and especially if you did sideload apps, you'd have to go like 3 menus deep to open them. There was no way to make a shortcut for them. It was just they're cool devices. They're cheap, especially during Prime Day and Black Friday and whatnot. You can get them for like $25. They're not bad, but if you're using it all the time, all day, every day, I would highly recommend a Plex box, and get the good one. Don't get the $25 Plex box, because it will act like a $25.
Are you talking Plex or Roku?
Roku. Do not get the $25 Roku box. It's a fine device, but it's sluggish and slow. So if you're okay with that, it's fine. If not, splurge and get the Ultra, which is 4K, nice remote, good device. So yes, that is a little bit of home theater here on the Infection Podcast. Speaking of Google and streaming and all this other stuff, Brian, there is a service that is too good for us to even talk to them at a convention. We spent combined, Green Man probably spent close to $2,000 of his own money to fly out from literally halfway across the world. I came from North Carolina, our friend Lance from Florida, you from Idaho, our friend Sean from California. We spent all this money, all the resources, we borrowed equipment, all this stuff to go to PAX West 2 years ago. They've got this huge Stadia booth. These stupid a-holes at Google would not talk to us because they're condescending douchebags, frankly. Too good to talk to us, because their streaming service is going to be so freaking incredible that they can't talk to. And by the way, they
would only talk to specific influencers,
and also the people at Sony too. The same shit with them. And was it Predator? They wouldn't talk to us either.
Oh yeah,
too good. So Stadia, too good. Incredible service. It's going to be revolutionary for gaming. Well, let's fast forward to where we are now. It's been out 2 years? Not even 2 years. Probably a year and a half. Really. It has got hardly any user base, no press, no PR, nobody talks about it. Cyberpunk came out on it. I haven't heard literally anything from anybody that's playing it. And we find out today that Stadia itself is not shutting down, but their first party studio is. So, they, and again, it's important to explain what Stadia is. Stadia is not what other game streaming services are, which are Windows virtual machines or Linux virtual machines running in a cloud with an NVIDIA 2000 or 3000 series card that stream the game over the internet to your computer. That's very common for game streaming services. Stadia is its own proprietary platform, meaning games have to be built to run on Stadia. There is a mediocre list of games that exist. A lot of them are older games like Destiny, and frankly, games that you can literally play on your smart fridge or toaster. I mean, it's not some great catalog. Cyberpunk did come out for it, but Cyberpunk was also available on 2 generations of Xboxes, 2 generations of PlayStations, and the computer. Really no reason to play it on Stadia. So, within a year and a half of the service coming up, Brian, they are shutting the first-party studio down and presumably will not be making any in-house games, which I think shows the eventual, which we talked about literally the week after PAX, that this service was not going to survive because it just doesn't make sense. Maybe it's too ahead of its time. Maybe it's like the Sega Dreamcast. Maybe it's just too much, too soon.
Google is not the company to do it, first of all.
Why?
They don't stick with things. I think that I said this when we were walking, I remember walking through PAX and saying something close to, they're not going to stay around. They're not going to keep it up. They shut everything down. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm surprised, like, for instance, Google Voice has been up as long as it has.
It has to. They own all these phone numbers. So what do they can't get rid of it. Half
that's what I'm saying. They've kind of locked themselves in. But that's the thing it was the same concept with these games. People buying these games on a platform. That's the only reason they're not shutting probably the whole thing down is because people have purchased games and they have an obligation. I bet you eventually they'll shut that down as well. But yeah, they go through and they don't take things seriously. Like, they test. They go out and they put the feelers out there. But you can't test with this kind of equipment where people are purchasing licenses to software on your platform. Companies are investing large amounts of dollars to put in equipment to start using your platform, for delivering games. It's just a mess with them. And I think it needs to be a game studio or a game publisher or a game, something distributor that does this, that has a good relationship with all of these companies already. Because Stadia has to go and Google has to go start these from the beginning. They don't really deal with PC console games. They deal with mobile games on Android. That's what they have experience with, not with PC.
One thing that's really unfortunate, Brian, is that they had 2 studios, Montreal and LA. One of the studios that they acquired, Brian, were 2 guys that a group that we met at PAX, which was the guys that made Journey to the Savage Planet, which is that kind of Fallout-y comedy style. That's not really open world survival, but it's that open world space kind of game. So they acquired that studio back in 2019, Typhoon Studios, and they said now Google has announced that studio, which is its LA studio, all of the team members will be moving on to other roles and that Google will help them find new positions. So they're either going to be shoehorned into some mobile gaming division at Google or in all likelihood finding other jobs, because the guy that was leading the studio, Jade Raymond, who they only picked up 2 years ago, has already left. He's the one that left. He's like, I'm done. So he leaves. They shut down their Montreal and LA studios. And from what this indicates, they're going to be laying off all of their, not necessarily laying them off, but shuttering all of their game development studios. So they will not have anything first party. They will not be able to develop anything. And it sucks that Journey to the Savage Planet got caught up in this, because now these guys, I assume they'll probably, depending on what kind of non-compete they have, wouldn't be surprised if they all quit, started a new game studio, and started a new game.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't think they're game developers. What are they going to do at Google? I mean, it's not in their career line. There's nothing in Google that is going to follow their career trajectory if they're game developers.
Yeah, they go be programmers, but not games.
I mean, they'll go be programmers making apps, but if they want to
Yeah.
be a game developer, then that's what they're going to go do. I can't imagine them staying in the company.
Yeah, so unfortunate to see. It doesn't look like this Jade Raymond has announced that where he's going yet. It just says he's going to be focusing on third-party games. But can we start the countdown? 12 months?
Bingo, boom, shakalaka.
Yeah. Thanks for starting that countdown, Bob. Do we start the countdown, Brian? January. I mean, do you have the book nearby? Is it possible that we say that January of next year? Is this too bold of a prediction? That this service will cease to exist? I can't.
That Stadia will cease to exist altogether?
Well, I think about this. Okay, maybe not this. Maybe it won't cease to exist. They will have announced the shutdown by January of next year, where they'll say, we are not selling any new games. You can continue to use the service till the end of 2022 or something like that. I don't see how they can go 12 more months. What's coming out in the next 12 months? What big AAA title? GTA is not ready. There's not another new Fallout. No. We know that the new Skyrim, Elder Scrolls, whatever it's going to be called, is at least 2 years away. So there's not a new AAA game. Cyberpunk, I think, it was maybe it, but it wasn't exclusive on the platform. And again, you could literally play it on 6 other devices. There's no reason to play it on Stadia. I don't see
think of what other games. Yeah, I can't think of any more
big games, right? Something that's going to drive people to a platform. Be like, wow, this game sucks on my computer. I really need to go get Stadia to play this. I don't see that. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything they can grab even to do that people would be willing to do. There's no company that would be willing to take that risk because the Stadia is so small. Google would have to pay them so much to say we're going to put it on, because there's nobody there. I mean, you're going to lose all your customers to go exclusive on Stadia. I just can't imagine anybody doing it.
So a couple things. By the way, I want to thank our friend UGX Vibe who hit us up with the 36-month subscription. Brian, I don't want to dox him or me, but we are going on a Valentine's date next weekend.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. We're going to a comedy show. It's going to be very romantic. Very much looking forward to hang out with our friend UGX Vibe next weekend for Valentine's Day. So
so for the prediction, I'm putting down that by January of next year of 2022.
Wait, hold on. Give me February. It's the 2nd. Scribble that out. Give me February.
Feb of 2022. Stadia.
Announcing Moonlight. Yeah.
Will announce Moonlight.
Is it Moonlight or Sunset, or is it both? Maybe both terms. I'm not sure.
Moonlighting something. They're sunsetting something. We could put sunset.
And we know what it means. You look at what the next 12 months look like roadmap wise. And I'll tell you this, Brian. I bet you what really hurt them is coronavirus. Somebody that could have actually made a claim would have been Google. Not because they couldn't work remotely, but what was when you're talking about a startup, essentially, which is what Stadia was inside of Google. Now, I understand they had the Google resources behind them, but it's still a startup. People just didn't. I mean, you had a good chunk of last year where people were so paranoid and freaked out that they were just staring at Dr. Fatanucci on TV every day, spewing his mouth about how you're going to drop dead if you go to the grocery store. It was already not a great idea. Excuse me. It was already a risky venture. Then you throw in a worldwide global pandemic. It was flawed from the start. Let's not kid ourselves. But I don't think that what went on with COVID and all these people losing their jobs and people shrinking incomes, people taking pay cuts, I don't think that helps Stadia. And I just don't see what could change in the next year to turn this platform around. I mean, they say that they have 400 games in the works. That, to me, is impossible. I don't.
Yeah.
That was as of November of last year.
It must have a lot of indie games and a lot of small title
but
games.
People aren't going to subscribe to play an indie game. I mean, that's the thing is you can get indie games on Steam or Epic for pennies or dollars, pennies on the dollar. It's why would you subscribe to the service?
Well, and the thing is, what I said originally, the thing that they would have to do to sell this is offer something in the games that can only be done with this type of technology. And I had said something with the AI being out of this world because they're able to do so much more complex computations in an open world multiplayer environment than you can do with something that's like what we're used to seeing now. I just think that something like that, where the worlds are much bigger because you're working on these big server infrastructure that's then streaming it and your computer doesn't have to handle it. You can do all the networking code and, it cuts out the cheating. Like the selling points, they're not trying to sell. And that's what I've never understood. Why don't you say, hey, here's what Stadia can do that your standard Steam game or even Xbox game cannot? I've never heard them offer that or even say it because I don't think they ever pushed anybody to actually implement it.
Well, they just haven't given enough time. You're talking about, again, this hasn't been around for 10 years. It's new. It's still brand new.
But and that's the thing is these companies, if they don't see a value in it, they're not going to push everybody. They're not going to push their studio to implement those features if it's not a selling point, if it's not going to make them a bunch of sales. And I don't think anybody ever thought that because of the slow start it had, that it was worth putting the time into.
Yeah, I mean, you saw again, Cyberpunk was a big one, and they do have some games on here. I want to be fair to the service, even though I think it's a terrible idea. And I'll be upfront, and I think I can speak for you too, Brian. You've never used it. I've never used it. I was part of their
Stadia, yeah.
I was part of their very, very early testing that they did back in like 2017 with Assassin's Creed. Did that, but that was it. And they do have some games on it. They've got that Sniper Elite game that you've been playing. They got PUBG. But again, these games are available on all of these other platforms. This is not anything new and hot. And then you look at some of the bigger titles that they have. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Assassin's Creed Origins, Syndicate, Unity, Valhalla. I mean, these are older games, Borderlands. I just don't see how you're going to draw people to a pay for $10 a month subscription service with games like this. Doom's on here, great. Cyberpunk, Dead by Daylight. I don't see it. I don't see it.
Yeah.
And obviously nobody else does either, because people aren't jumping out of buildings to sign up for a Stadia subscription, and obviously developers aren't either.
I think the company that's going to need to do it is Microsoft. Honestly,
you bring me to what I was going to talk about. Will Microsoft or Sony buy Stadia, or buy the technology?
They don't need Stadia. I don't think they don't need it. They don't need Stadia's technology.
So you don't think somebody will acquire Stadia? Because I think it's too big. They've got too many contracts in place to let it fold
I'm going to tell you that Google will not give it up. Google will not sell the technology because they use it in too many other areas. It's the same technology that they use for their Hangouts, their business Hangouts, and Meet, all the Google products they use for streaming. Chichu, the guy who used to be over Google Plus, he was in charge of the streaming area of it and all the codecs and all that. They have put a lot of money and technology into that, but they use it in more than just one place. There's no way they'd license it out because they'd be licensing out information that's they're currently using in business products. So I can't imagine them doing it.
The one thing that makes this service so much different than a lot of the other Google services that we've talked about, Brian, is most of those tend to be free. Like Reader, or is that what it's called? Reader? It used to be called Reader, News, Google News, Reader, whatever it was. The big RSS reader that they had.
Google Reader.
Free. And also completely self-contained with Google. Now, yes, you did import content from RSS feeds. This is different. This is a paid-for service in which they have licensed everything that's on it. They have not published or purchased. Now, the only game that you could say that they own is that Journey to the Savage Planet, because they own the studio, but they've made none of the games. The only thing behind it is the technology, and that's the one thing that makes this so much different than all of the other services that we talk about, like FeedBurner, which I know is still around, and Google Voice, a little bit different with phone numbers, but normally when Google shuts down a service like Hangouts, it's their service. They own it from start to finish. They don't own this from start to finish, and it's not free.
Yeah.
This is going to be a very different sunset than every other Google product where they
normally
just
they would just announce it and roll it down, but I just, they
plug.
can't because of all the things.
No, they can't. And I don't know, but now, what are they going to do? What about all these business to business agreements they've got with these companies? Are they going to file for bankruptcy? Because if you've got a contract in place with Battlegrounds, some of these I'm sure are paid agreements. So now they're either going to have to buy them out of the contracts. And that's why I said, do you think maybe somebody will
willing to do?
Maybe somebody will purchase Stadia and purchase.
Do you know what I think they're going to do?
Sure.
Personally, what I think Google will do is roll this out as a business product. Because they've did this before with Hangouts, with a lot of these other technologies. They test on the general public, and then they roll that because they're testing some technology. Then they roll it out to a business use. I think with this is going to perfectly segue for them. They're not going to be like, oh, this is using this technology. But what I would not be surprised to see next is remote working technology. So pretty much you have a little device that you bring home, and it allows you to work remotely. And let's say even for game developers who are looking to do, Judd's bringing up CAD, game development even, where you have to be able to do something that requires a decent amount of GPU and has to be somewhat responsive to be able to do something fine, like working on a model or something, that would take this kind of technology. Or even just having all your employees, because you don't. One of the biggest security risks is letting people have access to file systems, and then plug in USB. This would work as a remote desktop technology, especially after COVID. It would have been very smart for them to roll it out at the beginning of this past year as a technology, and kind of said, all right, let's forget about Stadia as a gaming platform, but let's use this as a remote work platform. I think they may be a little bit slow on it, but that would be a much better use to where they can make back their money and offer companies the ability, through server farms, to allow employees access to very expensive and very secure tech applications, in the business that take a lot of resource. So that's what I think. That's what I think they'll end up doing.
That seems to be the most likely thing. So it's unfortunate. It's not surprising. I think, you don't have to be an expert in video games to have predicted this, just from its lackluster rollout and just lack of, honestly, Brian, just kind of a lack of, what is it called? A lack of need, right? I mean, nobody needed this service. They were not solving a demand with a lack of demand is what it actually is called. There's no demand for this. I mean, they didn't have a user base to start with. That's why I think Microsoft could do it, because Microsoft has a user base and they're already rolling out something like this. They're starting to roll out similar things. They could just do it as, hey, here for our Game Pass Ultimate, here's the feature, and that's what they're doing with all the remote stuff. Here's Game Pass Ultimate. You have access to a remote streaming to your phone, and then people won't view it as, oh, I have to sign up for this extra service. No, then it becomes a feature. And you can access all these free games that we already have in your Game Pass Ultimate, plus access your own library. That would make much more sense, and get more people signing up for not just the basic Game Pass, but the Ultimate one, which is more expensive. That's probably where this technology is actually going to become useful, and your average person start to using it. Playing a really hard to intensive graphically and things like that game on a mobile device, like a tablet or something like that. And obviously Xbox has got that with their Xbox it's called xCloud is what it's called.
Yes. And they've already got it. That's why I think they're going to be the ones that run away with it and actually implement it.
Yeah, they're about to own every single video game development studio. So that'll work in. So we'll keep you up to date with Stadia. My prediction is in the book. Give it 12 months and we will have a date of halt service. So we'll keep you up to date on that. I do want to mention really quickly, I don't really feel the need to talk about it extensively, but I did see this come across my newsfeed today, that Jeff Bezos has announced he's stepping down as the CEO of Amazon. He will remain the executive chairman, and still be a decision maker. But he is turning over the reins to Andy Jassy, who is the guy that handles the AWS side of things. He's the CEO of AWS. So he'll now be.
So that doesn't sound very hopeful either.
Yeah. So I'm not sure what the deal is. I don't know. We have this literally happened like a couple of hours ago, so there hasn't been any huge fallout yet. Not sure what would cause this. I think this is. I don't think Amazon's going anywhere, but it is interesting when your fearless leader kind of steps aside. You've seen this.
Well, it makes you wonder if there's something that's not known yet that is going to be publicly known that he's just pre-exempt, or pre-stepping down. I mean, who knows? There could be something that we will be like, oh, that's why here in a week.
Yeah. Or this is strictly for...
Or just he wants to do something else.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, he
doesn't need more money.
No, but he might just want to go. He might just want to go dick around with a little project and not have to worry about being the CEO of Amazon. He probably wants to be more like Elon Musk, where he can just play around with stuff and tweet all day and
be one of the richest men in the world for it.
Yeah. So that was rather interesting. Nothing else to really add on it, but interesting to see he is out as the CEO. He'll continue to be the executive chairman of the board for Amazon. So interesting stuff. Not sure if I'll have any impact on Amazon Game Studio, which I read an article this week that it's been a year and a half and they've yet to produce anything. They've got a game development, but that's it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the issue from the notes that I saw on that is the struggles that they've been having with Lumberyard, which is the CryEngine.
Yep.
Which they could have asked anybody in the game development industry.
Miscreated.
Which engine should you not purchase? And there may be a few other ones that we could throw in there too, but that would have been one of the ones I would have said, do not purchase CryEngine. They picked one of the worst engines for that. Sure, you can make it look pretty, but it's the worst networking one. And you're basing your whole product on a networked MMO style, taking advantage of Amazon Web Services platform. And you picked the worst networked engine out there. They asked for it. Obviously they didn't do enough research or figured they can do anything because they're Amazon. They could fix anything, but obviously they can't. How about starting over and writing it from scratch? You probably be easier at some points to do that and then try to fix stuff that they don't truly understand.
Agreed. So interesting stuff. Kind of I wouldn't say turmoil over at Amazon. Amazon Game Studio, I do think is probably in the crosshairs though, because they have not produced. They've got that one game that's got a closed beta that they do, but at this point they're just bleeding money. I don't see that game being the next World of Warcraft or Guild Wars. No.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they actually go with it. And especially if they're changing CEOs, and he has a different vision for where he thinks the company should go. It'll be interesting to see what actually happens to some of the different departments.
So I'm sure we'll hear some stuff from Amazon and from the game studios over the next couple of weeks as this Bezos transition. And it's not happening immediately. I think it says throughout the year he'll be transitioning out. It's not like they fired him or he quit. He's just slowly transitioning out of that role. So we'll keep you up to date with that.
All right. There is one. I just wanted to mention one thing. There is a class action lawsuit against Valve.
Oh, no.
They're stating that it's using its dominant position in the marketplace to drive up prices. I would think that maybe the 30% tax would be one thing that, you're guaranteed to drive it up 30%, right? That is one thing. But here I'll read the statement. There's not a lot of details on it, but it says, Valve Corporation's Steam platform is the dominant platform for game developers to distribute and sell PC games in the United States. But the Steam platform does not maintain its dominance through better pricing than rival platforms. Instead, Valve abuses the Steam platform's market power by requiring game developers to enter into a most favored nations provision contained in the Steam distribution agreement, whereby the game developer agree that the price of a PC game on the Steam platform will be the same price the game developers sell their PC games on other platforms. So they don't allow them to sell them any cheaper.
I'm reading. There's a 27
other places.
27-page lawsuit that was filed. It's in the Central District of California, Western Division. They are requesting a jury trial. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not going to read through the 27 pages. I would imagine this goes nowhere.
Yeah, I don't think it will.
But it is interesting, nevertheless. I mean, we do hear this constant complaint about Steam. I don't know exactly what I heard what you said. I hear their argument, but I don't know how you're gonna. I don't see how it's gonna go over with a jury trial. So interesting. We see a lot of these Cyberpunk, all these class. Let's be honest. Most class action lawsuits, outside of that one AMD one where we all made like $30, go literally nowhere. Or they take so long to play out that it's not. Now this is not a lawsuit where they're asking for people to sign on to it. It looks like there's only a couple of plaintiffs noted, so this is not some.
I wonder if it's like game studios or something, or
I was trying to read who it was. I couldn't really tell exactly. I mean, I see the law firm that's doing it, but not not individuals. So. Interesting.
Yep.
Guess we'll keep an eye out on that as well. Let's do a little bit of gaming, and then we'll come back to some of our other news. Was it last week or the week before we played a trailer for a Mass Effect? Played a trailer for a Mass Effect game, an unannounced Mass Effect game that played at the Game Awards back in December that I just totally missed. Well, we've got a little bit more information now, and we've now got the announcement of the Legendary edition of Mass Effect. So let's take a look at this trailer.
Fixed Faces edition. Over 40 DLC. That's pretty crazy.
So
now that's probably like guns and things like that. So
yeah, I mean, very much a Halo Master Chief Collection idea. So what this is going to be, and I assume this is the trailer that we saw. Maybe there's another Mass Effect game. I can only assume this is what this was. So it's the original trilogy remastered, not just re-released, but a remaster of those. Plus 40 DLCs.
Full in 4K. It's in 4K Ultra HD. They said, whatever that means.
Including 40 pieces of DLC, including all story content, promo weapons, armor, and packs available from the start. We don't have a price. I assume like the Master Chief Collection.
It's going to have to be $100-something, I bet you.
I would expect. I mean, you're talking about three $60 titles at the time. It will be available. I found this interesting, Brian. May 14th, 2021 on both Origin and Steam. Now, I know BioWare and EA are together, but I really thought that they were working on getting Origin out with them moving all of those titles over to Steam. So I'm not sure if this is more of just a formality that it's being released on Origin. I found that to be a little bit surprising. And the cool thing is Mass Effect on PC, which is I've never played a Mass Effect game on PC. I've played them on the Xbox, the Xbox 360. But yeah, this is cool. They're saying that it's going to be available and support high refresh rates and ultra wide monitors, 21:9. So
I've got some more details too. So
sure,
it's going to be $59.99 on Xbox.
Okay, so I guess it'll be the same price on PC, presumably.
I'm assuming, but I'm just saying, on Xbox it's going to be $59.99. And it says a different price, $53.99 with EA Play or whatever. But yeah, so that's going to be $59.99. So that's a really good price for a totally remastered 3 different games, especially if you've never played them before. I mean, this would be a good opportunity. I think they should do this with I think this is something that a lot of these studios that have made really good games that have just become dated, because they used to put so much more time into the story, into a lot of the different aspects of games than they do now. It seems like they pump them out a little bit more for some studios. I think a lot of these places, just like they did with, remember, was it not Hitman? They did it with Mafia.
Yes, they
that
did.
one we showed a while ago, where they did 1, 2, and 3. They remastered all the old ones. I think a lot more studios should be doing this, because you can use a lot of the original voice acting, and that you can make a game that a lot of people have never played because it's old, but sell it to a whole new generation.
Well, that's exactly, you stole the words right out of my mouth. I mean, you're talking, I played the original Mass Effects, but I'm trying to look at, the original Mass Effect came out in 2007. So you've got an entire generation of current gamers that were probably crawling around in diapers when the first Mass Effect came out, and probably didn't experience it. And I know a lot of people don't like Mass Effect, but it is a very good single player story driven game. The first 2 were great. I wasn't a fan of anything after that. The first 2 were fantastic. Really, really great games. When they came out on the Xbox, played the crap out of them. Fantastic games, great stories, you said, voice acting, the whole, very reminiscent of that early 2000s style of video game. Again, in the same class with Halo or whatever was coming out at that same time. So this is cool. I assume this is part of what that Game Awards trailer was that we saw a couple months ago. But maybe they're working on something else. I'm not sure. But this will be out May 14th for the PC. So,
and I just pre-ordered it, so I'll let you know how it is.
Now, what did you got it on Steam, I presume?
No, Xbox.
When does it come out on Xbox?
Same time.
Oh, okay. Because it doesn't. Are you sure? Are you sure it's not already out on Xbox?
No, it doesn't release until May whatever on Xbox.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, because it's
weird it's preloading some. I'll where do you want to install? Yeah, it says auto installing. Yeah, May 13th is when it's available.
Yeah, okay. It's
so
just
May 13th, 10 p.m. on Xbox.
It's weird how they've got this listed as just. It seems like it's only for PC, which is odd, but it is on Xbox. Cool. So, interesting. Cool. I mean, God, I still need to play Doom. I still haven't touched Doom Eternal. I still need to play Cyberpunk. I'm not going to pre-order this because I'll never play it. My kids maybe could play it. By the time
if you order it now, by the time you get your games, you'll have kids to play it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I can buy this, but there's not a chance in hell I'll ever get to play it. So maybe if it goes on sale, because again, it's same thing. I have the Halo Master Chief Collection. I played Halo 3 or Reach with Musty a couple times, and I haven't touched it. I've got probably 600 hours worth of Halo games to play through. I don't know why I bought. Why do I even do this show? I don't even play any of this crap. It's like, what a waste of my time and money all this is. It's just stupid.
Hey, you can vicariously live through everyone who does play games.
Yeah, that's what I do. That's what I do.
You're like, hey, here's a game you could play.
Tell me how it is.
Play this game.
Yeah, I got to go watch. I'm going to go watch a YouTube video about a guy talking about a quantum link from the 1980s. See you later. I got important things to do. So, cool stuff. Pre-order links and that trailer's in the show notes, infectionpodcast.com.
All right. Do you care where we go from here?
No, we've got a whole bunch of weird stuff that doesn't.
Well,
mixed together.
Let's talk a little bit about hacking and cheating and things like that for a bit.
Sure.
So first of all, here's one not necessarily related to gaming, but I think it does affect gaming sometimes.
Okay.
Is there was a botnet, a malware botnet that was taken down.
What is that?
And now, so this is one where a virus will go out, it'll infect a computer, and then its goal is to infect another computer. And then it creates a botnet of computers, so they get to where there's maybe thousands of different devices. Could be a computer, could be an Internet of Things, an IoT device or something like that. And then they all communicate together, and they have maybe one central control that then directs them what to do. This is a lot of the time when you see a game has gone offline, it's getting DDoSed. It's through these type of platforms where malware has gotten a command and control center and is being directed to hit the servers for a specific game or hit a specific platform. Well, they had a number of different countries take down one called Emotet. They did this in this past month, and it was I'll list off the different countries. So they had Netherlands, France, Canada, the UK, Germany. This is really fuzzy. I think Lithuania. I'm getting a better quality version of the
FBI,
picture. USA,
Ukraine.
And then Ukraine. Yeah. So they went in and they all worked together to take out this botnet. So I'm assuming this will take out a lot of these type of things that we've been seeing where, okay, this has gone offline or this isn't working. But that was a really big one. And so I figure it was worth mentioning because we do announce on here, hey, this game service, whether it's Lord of the Rings Online or whatever is getting DDoS this week, they're not available. These are the systems that are doing that. So
cool.
Now, and kind of in segueing from that to Activision, recently confirmed that their Call of Duty Warzone has an internal anti-cheat client that they haven't really talked about that now is up to 300,000 bans currently.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and this is just an internal one, a private one. Then there was another article talking about how they banned 60,000 in one wave here just recently. So they are working to combat cheating because as we've learned playing PUBG, H1Z1, King of the Kill, cheaters are very prevalent, and it just can totally destroy. I mean, look at what it did to King of the Kill. Pretty much destroyed a game platform. And so they're very actively. They say they have a zero tolerance for cheaters. I mean, they're not making videos and letting the cheaters beg and come back as long as they cry on screen.
What if you cry?
I mean, they must have realized that didn't work last time for one of the other studios. So this is something that they're really pushing here. And so be interesting to see if this works so well for this product, if they start to roll it out on other places. So with their other platforms.
So this is very good. I'm not taking anything away from this.
Mm-hmm.
But Warzone has been out for 2 years.
Yes.
I hope that this 300,000 is just since November of this year when the new Call of Duty came out. Because if it's since last year, that seems to me to be a very low number. Warzone was incredibly popular at its peak at this point a year and 3 months ago when it first came out. Not trying to take anything away from the number, but Warzone is very, very popular. And 300,000 bans, for example, they said that
it's saying 300,000 since launch is what it's saying.
So since the anti-cheats launch? Oh yeah,
no, since Warzone launched.
Yeah, see, that doesn't seem very good to me because then there's a tweet here from February 2nd that they banned 600,000 accounts today.
600,000 or 60,000?
So I'm sorry, 60,000. So if they banned 60,000 today, you're telling me they had only banned 270,000 or 230,000 accounts prior to this? The game's been out since November of 2020 or 2019 rather.
I think that they were getting a lot of flack from the community and then did a push to do a big set of bans. So
yeah, I don't know. I'm not trying to take anything away from it. Just the number seems. I know how popular Warzone is, and 300,000 seems really low.
So here's a quote from them. It says, anyone that used engine owning, which is cheat engine, since the last ban wave was wiped out. a source told Vice. So this is Vice doing the interview. Engineering was also at the center of the Warzone's last big ban wave, which banished over 20,000 accounts in September. So they haven't heard much from the topic from developers, since then. So it sounds like they did just 60,000 when they figured out all the users. I wonder if they got access to the database or if they were able to detect it but didn't do anything about it initially just to track them. But they banned all those people at once, and that was the 60,000 just from that specific cheat.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. I mean, anti-cheat's great. If somebody does have the availability to do it, it would be Activision Blizzard. They've got the money, the resources, and hopefully the talent. If not, they've got the money to hire the talent to do it. So maybe we'll see this. Maybe we'll have another. Maybe they'll make this public and sell it as a SaaS service like Punkbuster and what's the one that everybody uses? BattleEye. Yeah.
BattleEye.
Maybe they'll do a software as a service if it works really well. So that's cool to see.
All right. Do you want to talk about a new game? There's been a lot of hype about an upcoming game this week called The Day Before.
I do like this new game. We don't get new games
kind of in our
often.
genre. Too. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of in our genre too. So this is post-apocalyptic, has zombies. Ooh. There's actually a video. It's an announcement trailer. Do you want to play that really quick so people can get an idea of what this looks like? Because it's a cross between The Last of Us and what was there's another one that they were kind of comparing it, and Division. Kind of the Last of Us Division, a mix of those two styles. So
all right,
I think you'll see this from the video.
Here it is, The Day Before.
Welcome to the short gameplay demonstration trailer for The Day Before.
Voice acting, holy crap.
An upcoming open-world multiplayer survival game. The Day Before features a huge, stunningly detailed post-apocalyptic world destroyed by a terrible virus.
I'm running out of fuel.
Whoa, really?
Great, man.
Imagine that.
Awesome.
What a concept. Where's Jeff Bezos raping the American public?
Hey, look, there's New York.
Too soon.
Shall we split up? Yep.
They did the same thing as The Division, where they do this talking inside the game and acting like they're role playing.
It's pretty cool.
You remember in Division when they did this with their original announcement of Division?
Yes.
They walked around like they're actually talking for real in the game.
I found a great cowboy hat. Tell her everything's all right.
That's what it actually
and there aren't any more guns in the valley. Easy, cowboy.
Listen up. This is Woodbury Survivor Colony speaking. If you can hear this message, it means that we have opened our doors for new survivors. We can give you food and shelter and ensure your safety. Here are the coordinates.
Did you hear that? Yep, I got a message too. Great. Maybe I can sell my junk there and get myself a better rifle. Let's find some fuel and go.
In the Survivor Colony, you can sell and buy any items, as well as cooperate with other players.
Definitely not a trap.
On the third day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 3 fresh hands, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge.
In The Day Before, you can enter abandoned buildings and take whatever you want. The main thing is to be careful, because not all players are friendly.
Pick up some supplies and get out of here. Let's check it out.
Oh shit. Got company. Could use some help now.
The things are about to get heated.
Over here. You bastard! Oh shit!
Dude, there's too many of them. I gotta go upstairs. Okay, I'm running toward you.
The snowstorm is starting right now, and the temperature is falling fast. Remember that when you shoot and make unnecessary noise, it can attract unwanted guests even more terrifying than other players. The world of The Day Before is teeming with hungry hordes of bloodthirsty infected, ready to tear you to pieces.
Phew, that was close. You should have seen this shit.
It seems he dodged a bullet. Now he's crafting a bandage so he doesn't die from bleeding.
Hey, are you upstairs already? Shit.
Disavow that language.
Psst, where are you? What the?
The Day Before, coming soon.
Wow. Who's behind this project, Brian? This came out of nowhere.
So and now, okay, so these studios you probably have not really heard of. Like, it's Fantastic. So FNTASTIC is the developer.
Okay.
And then the studio is Mytona, but you may recognize a game that the developer has made before, The Wild 8. It didn't become super popular, but it was released in 2019. We showed some videos of it at the time. It was a single player or online co-op kind of survival crafting multiplayer game. Other than that, there's a game called Radiant One that they put out in 2018 that I've never heard. I mean, it's $2.99 on Steam. Mostly positive. The 151 reviews are mostly positive. It's a little story-driven game. That's it. So this is a big change from what they've done before. The Wild 8 had, from what I remember, decent graphics. It looked pretty cool. It was more of an overhead view, if I remember correctly. But this kind of came out of nowhere. Saw a lot of people posting about it, showing video of it, and this is right up our genre. I mean, it's an MMO style, so it's multiplayer, post-apocalyptic, zombie survival game. I mean, I think this will be something that our listeners, viewers would be interested in.
Yeah, there's no price point. We don't have a date. They do have a website and a Twitter that you can check them out at. Their website is daybeforegame.com. Their Twitter is playdayBefore. Well, this is cool. This is not what I not something I was expecting. Kind of popped out of nowhere, which is great. It's, again, not often that we get a new game in this genre. And, even though it kind of lost steam pretty quickly, The Division was a lot of fun. It just, I don't know if it was because
I enjoyed the single player content more than the multiplayer content. So
yeah, at the time that was on Uplay, and it was just like, God, I hate this. I hate everything about Uplay and this whole process and the friends list, and maybe that attributed something to it. But the concept was really solid, and this looks pretty good. So we'll keep an eye on this, and as more information becomes available, we'll let you know. But this is The Day Before, and I guess we'll have to hang around here, Brian.
So far, I'm just seeing it on PC, so we'll have to see. I don't see any hint at console, but I can't imagine them not selling it on console.
Well, what I'll say, though, is if it's not a major studio like an Ubisoft or an EA or an Activision, this is pretty typical, all right? I mean, you can't do a release like this.
If it's going to be an alpha too, if it's not coming out finished, then
which it's not,
it would make total sense to do that on PC. Once you're finally to release, then release it on console.
Yeah, there's no way this will not be early access.
Alpha. Yeah.
I will eat my hat if this is a completed game. there would be no reason. Nobody releases. We've had what, like 3 fully released games besides sports games.
They don't do it anymore
in the past 2 years. Yeah, it's not a thing they do. So very cool. You can add it to your wish list on Steam and get notifications when they become available, or stay tuned to Infection Podcast and we'll do the same. So that is that. Let's talk about Cyberpunk real quick. Nothing super crazy with them this week, but they mention to be hesitant if you're running mods, because there is currently I guess you'd call it a backdoor in the modding API that could allow your PC to get infected with some sort of malware or a virus posing as a Cyberpunk mod. There's some DLL files inside of Cyberpunk that can be executed as a system, as a root user, as an admin, and could wreak havoc on your systems. So they're aware of it. It was of course, a Redditor that pointed this out. They're aware of the vulnerabilities. They say they're working on fixing the issue ASAP. That was as of today. So they're saying just beware, don't use mods from unverified or unknown sources. But I would imagine by next week's show, we will have a fix for this. This should be a pretty simple thing. I mean, it's a couple DLLs that have too many permissions that they just probably need to scale back a little bit. So just something to keep your eye out on. Don't be downloading anything crazy from some sketchy Cyberpunk mod site. So be aware.
Very good. All right. I was going to announce the game giveaway really quick if you're good with that.
Absolutely. What you got?
All right. So if you type !giveaway in chat, I'm giving away a copy of Tabletop Playground. Now, if you've done Tabletop Simulator, that's something very close to this. But this one's in early access, and it has a lot of those where you can make games, and then you have access to a lot of the games through the community. But this is Tabletop Playground. I'll put a link to the Steam page. It's currently $15 on there. That's single player. You can do online PvP, LAN PvP. You can do split screen on this, online co-op. It's got a lot of different things, very similar, I think, to Tabletop. So if you're interested in that, it just was released, mid last year. So it hasn't been out that long, and it has a positive rating currently. But if you're interested in that, ! giveaway, and then we'll give it away here before the end of the show.
Absolutely. And if you're not here joining us live, well, you should be. We're here live every Tuesday night, right around 7 o'clock Eastern on infectionpodcast.com/live. That is where you'll find our current live home, which has been Twitch for the past 6 years. And as long as they'll not shut us up, which can't make any promises on, we'll continue to be here. But infectionpodcast.com/live. We're also available on YouTube Live and D Live. So you can check us out on those platforms as well. All right. Let's see. Let's talk about another survival game, if you don't mind, Brian.
Sure.
Dead Matter. Now, you talk about a game that was riding the hype train hard. I mean, good Lord. You remember I still haven't even launched this game, and I don't think you've launched outside of when it first came out.
And I haven't launched it since then.
I didn't even launch it. And it's been a hot minute since we've heard from them. They do have an update out here, and they say that, sorry, it's taken a while. They did say that they jumped to the most, it doesn't say the most recent, but 4.26 for Unreal Engine. They say that's a big update. Do you know anything about 4.26?
Yeah, I mean, there's some pretty good features they've added in 4.26, things with like hair, the ocean, the water that they added in there. Okay. I bet you what they're really trying to take advantage of is the new ocean system from 4.26, the hair system from 4.26, and there's a few other things that came out because this one has water and all that. Then so they're probably getting a lot better resource frame counts with the new 4.26. So I'm assuming that's what they're probably going for. So those features were very big in 4.26.
And that is a pretty big haul and lift, even for big studios. So the fact that it's taken a while and they say they expect to take another 2 weeks or so isn't super crazy.
Especially if they use a lot of plugins or a lot of custom code, that are very reliant on things that were. So one nice thing about Unreal Engine, what they do is when you upgrade from one engine version to the other, and let's say you're using blueprints. Now, if these guys are using a lot of written code, that's not going to help you out so much. But with blueprints, and this is why a lot of times they'll prototype quickly in blueprints, and then before they go to release, maybe then convert over to more of a source code. Is if let's say I'm going from 4.25 to 4.26 and they've changed or removed or upgraded a feature in a blueprint between those two versions, or let's say they're going to be taking something out, they'll temporarily for the next version put that there, but it'll be a different color and it'll be labeled that this is going to go away in the next version. So you have to go through and then upgrade, fix, and replace those nodes. And then that way, when the next 4.27 comes out, your game doesn't break. You're already set up to go to the next one. So a lot of times you're going through your code, finding all those areas where that has changed, fixing it and preparing it for the next one, so that then when the next engine update comes out, you don't have a bunch of stuff that's broken. So
let's take a look at
probably what they're doing.
Okay, excellent. Let's take a look at what they're going to be including in this. This is going to be 0.6.0. And again, we expect that within the next 2 weeks or so. The big thing is that they're changing the way that the infected spawn, which is their equivalents to zombies. So the way they actually work right now, and again, you probably don't know this because I don't know anybody that played this game outside of the day it came out, is there are zombies that spawn in the world, or infected that spawn in the world, but there are also infected that spawn when you do something in game, for example, shoot a gun or blow something up that creates a heat map. They actually spawn on that. Well, they're changing that. So the way that the infected are going to work now is that they will all be spawned into the world. They will not be respawning, but they will be all spawned into the world, and it will work more like a traditional game with a heat map. So you will not have zombies popping up into the world based on in-game events now. So that's a bit of a change, and they also worked on a couple of pathfinding things because the zombies, I guess, were having a terrible issue trying to get around fences and doors and walls and all that stuff. So,
and that's one of the biggest resource hogs is when you're having AI, and especially you have a lot of AI trying to figure out where to run. That can really cause some strain on your system. So
I remember when
if it wasn't good, that would be a problem.
I remember when XERA was in its early stages, and the robots in that game could not get around anything. Like you would hit it and jump over the fence, and it would you'd hear the as it runs all the way around the house to the open gate, and then you just hop on the other side of the fence, and it does that thing. So pathing is a huge issue on every game. So they've made some pathing changes to that, and hopefully that'll be fixed out there. One of the other big things that they worked on was the survival system. So hunger, thirst, stamina, blood, and overall the character attributes to health. One thing that they added here, Brian, that's cool is combat stamina, which is a new form of stamina. They say this is basically an abstraction of the adrenaline burst you'd get in a dangerous situation. It is meant to allow you more wiggle room to act when you're in a fight. The secondary bar of stamina will allow you to briefly run faster, swing a weapon more than you might otherwise, and also if you need to engage in stamina draining activities such as aiming a rifle with a broken arm, you'll have more room to do so before you need to stop and rest. I don't believe I've ever seen an adrenaline stamina-based system in any of the games that we talk about. It's a really cool concept because you've always seen the stories of the guy that lifts, a 700-pound boulder off of his son, where your body clicks in and you get these like crazy superpowers, or I don't know how it all works. But the adrenaline-based stamina, or what they're calling combat stamina, is a very cool system, and hopefully something that other games can do, because it would be nice to just have a little bit of boost to either piece out of a situation real quick or maybe get an extra axe swing or two in. So that's pretty cool. They're going to be working on that. Perks is another thing. You remember when this game first got announced, they made a big thing about, you could be a doctor, or you could be a delivery guy, or an electrician, or a plumber, all these different perks. They realized that they don't really do anything. Their quote here is the current release, they don't do too much for the game in terms of occupation. So they're going through and reworking that. They're trying to make character specializations a little bit more important to the game. So they're currently revising that, and it doesn't seem like it'll be anything major for this update, but it is something that they're actively working on. And they also made a change to the starting outfits for some of the some of the professions in games. So you can see here, this is the new police system. You can see it here as well. The body armor, which by the way looks very similar to the H1Z1 police armor. This is a cool thing here. This is the reflectiveness. You can see that on this firefighter jacket. The reflective strips, which if you've ever seen a jacket like this in real life, they're crazy bright because all they do is reflect the ambient light. So they worked on that, and that's going to be in there. They also say that they're working on updating their website as well, and they do say at this, if you're not happy with the game itself or you've had an issue with the game and you would like to request a refund, please reach out to their website. They've got an email address on here, and they're still doing full refunds. So big engine update. The combat stamina thing is super, super cool. And then just fixes to the whole zombie spawning system and everything else. So cool stuff there from Dead Matter. I do want to thank our friend Bobby J for hitting us up with the 20-month resubscription here on Twitch. Thank you very much, Bobby. It is greatly appreciated, and thank you for the long time support on this show. It is we appreciate it more than you can ever imagine. So thank you very much for that. And yeah, that brings us up to date with Dead Matter. Hopefully by the middle of February or late February, we'll have this update out in game.
Okay, cool. Let's talk about your second favorite game. No Man's Sky put out a patch this week.
What's my first favorite?
You're dying. There's another one that you hate more. I'm trying to remember what it is. I just know that this one. I think this one got second place.
Really? I'm trying to think of another game.
Yeah, I thought there was another game that you'd like less than this one. I'm trying to remember what it is though.
I'm not sure.
Do you remember?
No,
maybe this one is it. I thought this one went to second place.
No, I think this is number one. I mean,
okay.
This guy blatantly lied to me on national television. It just doesn't get any worse than this guy.
Well, hey, this could be the fix that just totally makes it worth getting. So let's go and run through it.
Till the day I die. They can put it on my headstone. Did refuse to play No Man's Sky.
I will never play No Man's Sky again.
Nope. You can put it on my headstone. It won't matter.
So this is their 3.15 patch. And pretty much here, I'll just read them off quickly. Stability improvements on PC. Resolution and performance for PSVR, so that's PlayStation VR, have been significantly improved when running on a PS5. Imagine that.
Oh, wait, hold on a second. I didn't know that the PSVR was cross-compatible. I haven't heard or seen anything about that. Have you heard anything about that? I forgot about the PlayStation VR. Huh.
Yeah, I'm wondering how it looks on there.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder how it interfaces, because it was built for the PlayStation 4, and they've got different architecture.
They must... Huh. Yeah, they must have something to connect it to it. So
interesting.
Fix a rendering related crash on PS5. Xbox Series S in high quality mode now has the improved ultra settings introduced in the next generation update. Loading times on PS5 have been improved, and PS5 install size has been optimized. So that's pretty much it. It's a bunch of console stuff. So I guess you'll have to wait a little bit longer for your game to be fixed. So that is No Man's Sky.
All right, very cool. I know couple people that have played it and seem to enjoy it, just not for me. All right, let's see what else do we have here. Let's talk about Jaws of Extinction. This is another game similar to Dead Matter a little bit in terms of some of its pre-hype. They've got an alpha version out here, 0.3.2.9.a. And they actually have a little video here.
Well, I mean, this is a vlog, developer vlog, and it's probably about 5 minutes.
So this goes through this update and a couple of other things that they're working on. So
they show a lot of gameplay, which I figure might be helpful for some people that haven't really seen the game. I know you and I have played it; we streamed it at the time, but I think this could be a good opportunity for some people to actually see what the game looks like while playing, because I think most people have no clue.
All right, well, let's take a look at some Jaws of Extinction.
And there is no audio in the intro. I just wanted to warn you, it is not the video itself being messed up. Because when I first watched this the first time, I was like, are my speakers up? Like something's wrong with this, but they will talk, I promise. They should put some little intro music.
They do. It's just so quiet.
On the heels of the co-op development,
oh, Jesus. Okay.
We want to make sure that we get a lot of the base mechanics down that we have been planning for a long time. In this update, we are introducing
hostage situation here.
We have 2 systems in place to challenge you while you're under pressure. One is chance-based system for locked containers that just require your patience and plenty of lockpicks. The second system is for locked doors. This will require a little more skill. Work the pin around the lock using the left and right movement of your mouse, and then lock it in with the spacebar. The error tolerance will be different for each door you encounter, as well as the amount of pins that you'll be required to pick.
There have been a variety of updates to items in the world, starting with the addition of craftable lockpicks and workbenches so that players can produce their own picks. Additionally, clothing repair kits are now available for in-the-field clothing repairs. There have been some quality of life improvements for items too. This includes updating out-of-date descriptions, the removal of currently unusable items, stat adjustments, as well as adding a sparkle effect in order to improve the visibility of items when they're on the ground. Loot spawns have been rebalanced, so that the loot which spawns inside is more relevant to the type of container that it was found in. Furthermore, loot spawns will no longer spawn several of the same item, causing an abundance of the same object in the same place.
Some changes to the main menu and user interface have been made, with beginnings of UI control for keyboards and gamepads. We have made a start on the main menu, making it fully controllable via key and button input. Currently we only have managed to do the keyboard input control, but controller support for both the main menu and in-game user interface will follow as soon as we're happy with the results. As you may know, we have always intended for Joe to be the story-based RPG survival style game. So now we are off the starting line with our quest system. We have started to introduce a new cinematic system.
I didn't realize you were in the
without
game,
the aid of pre-rendered cutscenes. This will be a way that we
that's
will
going to be the next
immerse the player in conversations,
Cowboy Simulator.
Western survival. You'll see.
Regarding the story and interactions with non-playable characters.
In this update, we are adding to the roster of NPC threats that you might encounter on the island. The Exiles are a hostile group of humans who have resorted to wilderness survival to stay alive. They are typically found on the outskirts of towns or in camps in the wilderness. Their choice to rely on dependable, low-tech survival methods means you'll be fighting against enemies wielding bows and arrows. In terms of non-hostile NPCs, we've added huntable wildlife across the island. In addition to deer, you will now encounter rabbits and wild boar. If you can catch them, they can be used as a source of meat, hide, and animal fat. There have been plenty of general updates for the NPCs as well, mostly regarding combat behaviour and navigation. Several movement and animation issues have been fixed, which will both improve hostile and friendly NPCs.
Based on feedback from the community, we have made some adjustments to the way vehicles handle and feel as a whole. Now with the ability to rotate the camera around the vehicle freely without the aid of pressing or holding keys, we feel that driving is a more pleasant experience overall. With that said, parts can once again be found in the world, as well as repair kits for the parts. So if your oil filter needs changing, remove it from your vehicle, use a repair kit to replenish its condition, and then place it back into the vehicle. We have also added a second quad bike that handles very differently to the original one. Additionally, we made it free to feed your horse in safe zones, as well as reducing the cost of purchasing a horse from Brendan at the stables.
A handful of game systems have received optimizations and fixes this patch, starting with a variety of issues when saving and loading. Several major save file related issues, such as locked states of doors and quest information, are now saving and loading properly. Performance-wise, our navigation system, along with several other high-cost systems, have received attention due to their previously poor performance. Several animation systems have been optimized too. Performance improvements will, as always, continue throughout development.
Some great new locations have been added to this update, with the reintroduction of Tilly's Garden Centre, as well as Allings and Sons and a large supermarket, new mesh update for the lighthouse, and new location for the old bath ruins. The 3 main points of interest each have a story to tell, and will require you using the new lockpick system to gain entry. These will all come with high tier treasures waiting to be plucked. We have also started to add in more world narratives. These are small scenes that tell a short story, but will be down to the player to discover what they are. In the future updates, you will be able to gather clues from these locations to uncover the story and anything that may have been left behind.
All right. and Brian, I don't want to be too much of a jerk, but some people are just not good at everything. That the one guy talking in that dev vlog sounded like somebody was holding a shotgun to his head. I mean, again, I appreciate the video, super useful, but that's an easy fix. Just get somebody else that doesn't sound like they want to kill themselves to do your dev.
They need a shadow frax for.
But even though the other guy that talked was fine. Yeah. He was like like a little bit of enthusiasm. The other guy was just sounded like he was ready to. It's like the guy from the IT crowd that jumps out of the CEO and just walks out of the window. I mean, it's like, good Lord. So cool video, but just a total downer, man. It's just like, damn. I will note, still a single player only game. But one thing I like, Brian, that they seem to be focusing on, unlike a lot of other games, is single player, story, your environment, dealing with things like that in the world, which is something that we don't see a whole lot of. It tends to be you look at a game like Rust or Ark or any of these other games, that there's no story. Sometimes there's a little bit of lore, but this game.
That's why I like to track this game, because I can just see, there's the possibility that it could be pretty cool, but they've got a long ways to go. So it's going to take them. I mean, the graphics are doing a good job visually, but yeah, it's going to be a chore for them to make this multiplayer. And I hope they're working on it now, but we'll see.
Yeah, I assume that they are. But yeah, as you said, it will likely be some time. So again, the game is on Steam. You can buy it. It's actually, that's not true. I forgot that was 2 weeks ago. They took that off, so you can't buy it anymore. Still has mixed reviews. It says it's going to be out June 1st. I don't know how accurate that is. So yeah, well, I really do like the video. It's nice to be able to see and have somebody explain instead of reading a wall of text like we just did with Dead Matter. So hopefully they keep that up. Good work. Just maybe a little bit more enthusiasm or just a different person to read. I'll do it. You heard it here first. If the Jaws of Extinction people give me a script, I will do this.
Yeah. I mean, hit them up. You should just message them.
I'm not going to hit them up. If they want me to do it,
I've tried to talk to them some, and they've talked a little bit, but they're kind of difficult sometimes to talk to. I remember originally when I was concerned about the models they were using, and they actually we got some dialogue going back and forth with them, and they were they're very open to talk. So I mean, I think if you can get a hold of them, they maybe say, hey, just give us a script, tell us what your update is, and we'll knock it out.
Yeah.
That's all right. So let's go ahead. Do you care what we talk about next?
No, sir. You're in control.
All right, let's talk about something that's happened with PUBG here. Now, there you haven't been really putting out updates like crazy, but there's been some things happening overseas. For instance, in India, they have their own launcher client there that they call FAU-G, FAU-G.
We've got to be careful with that one.
Instead of
Jesus.
But so their ratings are falling on their PUBG mobile client because they're review bombing the game. So it says, with the Indian government unlikely to reverse the ban on PUBG mobile, which they did, the ratings for their Indian PUBG or FAU-G has taken a hit. Apparently, the fans of PUBG mobile have left 1-star ratings on the official Google Play Store for it, which is known as review bombing. And so it was at a 4.5 at launch, but now it's down to a 3.4. So this is something that's currently happening. There's been a lot of kind of contradiction with this and a lot of back and forth, the government over there not liking certain types of video games and limiting certain things. So we'll see what happens with this. Back and forth.
So the reason it's getting review bombed is because the India is blocking you from playing the game, right?
You can't play it. Yeah.
Yeah, you can download it, but you can't use it.
Yeah. So this is something where I guess it's not really, if you can't play it, so there's not really a big deal in being review bombed. I guess they're hoping that it will get unlocked and they'll be able to play it, and they don't want to have a really low score with something that's kind of out of their control anyways. Yeah. This is the government doing this. But the reason, I guess part of it is that the reason that they were blocked was because of how they handled and collected user data. So it's not just because of the violence in it. They were doing this South Korean company, which owns PUBG, was doing some things that India didn't agree with as far as collecting data on users. I don't know why they don't just reverse that, undo the tracking things, and get unbanned. It seems like not having it at all is more of a problem than them having to track some data of users.
Very interesting. Well, this will come to a head at some point. Somebody will give in. It will either be the government of India or Bluehole. So this ends one of two ways. It will not be a forever thing. I don't foresee. So that's interesting. I honest to God didn't know anybody played PUBG Mobile, but I guess enough people do.
I played it a little bit, but it's just mainly to try it out when it first came out. It's just not something. I mean, for people who don't have a computer, maybe don't have a console, it's a quick way to do a PUBG, a BR on a
the
mobile
Call
device.
of Duty Mobile was fun. Played that a little bit, but same thing. It was kind of cool. Like, had its new shiny factor for a week or two maybe, but that was about it. So
All right. So let's. Yeah, what do you want to talk about next?
Well, I was going to say your favorite game, since you were talking about my favorite game, your actual favorite game, Elite Dangerous, did a Q&A where they went through.
And they've been releasing this kind of in pieces, because there was one that we talked about last week, I think, or 2 weeks ago maybe, where they had answered some specific questions. And this one has to do with ships and vehicles.
Yeah, so they say, can you ship and SRV damage a player if I run them over? Absolutely. What is an SRV? A ship?
It's the immobile. It's the car, the vehicle.
Oh, the new
ground.
vehicle. Gotcha. So an SRV can damage or kill a player if they are not fast enough to get out of the way. This goes the same for AI, so you can run people over. Will there be an update to the ship and SRV combat as well as ground combat? Ship combat and SRV combat is in a healthy place right now. Our focus is on ground combat for Odyssey, which is their big ground update, and ensuring that it's balanced well against vehicles. We'll be looking closely at balancing the in the upcoming alpha. Do player shields affect ships like other do player shields affect ships like other ships do? Players that question doesn't make sense. Players will not be able to ram a ship whilst on foot. No, though it would be fun to watch someone try. So I guess the question is, will you be able to affect a player's can you as just a regular person hit a shield? And the answer is no. So two ships can ram into each other with shields and afflict damage.
But if you as a player run and hit them with your personal shield, you're not going to damage the ship. Is what I think they're saying.
It's probably that's like a Rick and Morty sketch. Something there with
blows up. The ship just explodes.
Yeah, he touches the ship and it just instantly explodes. It says, how will you balance night vision on ships while on foot players? Night vision will work as it does currently, providing ship commanders improved visibility in low light environments. It's worth noting that on foot players will have very small targets for commanders and ships, and too small for ship weapons to be locked onto. However, commanders and ships will be very big targets for players on foot, with some handheld weapons being able to lock onto them. Will the ship-launched fighters be useful in ground combat? Yes, all deployable vehicles can be used. A player can choose to deploy in a fighter if they want, with all the benefits and drawbacks that it will provide. You want to go through the rest of these, or does that answer most of your questions?
Yeah, I mean, most of these are just definitely related to the ships, which there's a lot of stuff talking about SRVs, which I never did a lot of, because when we played it, it was all flying around and most people didn't have Horizons. And so but now for people that are interested, if you're getting into Horizons, that's now free. Just make sure people remember that. That's now not free. You have to own the game, but it's included with the base game. And so you have access to some of the things that maybe if you played this a year ago, you didn't have access to. So if you have this game, you haven't played it in over a year, I would encourage you to log in, because you'll have the Horizon and you'll be able to see some cool new things that you didn't have access to before.
I got to do this just right here on the show. You want to know the last time I played Elite Dangerous? Can you even guess?
3 years ago?
Let's see.
Maybe 3 years ago.
Not too far off. November 3rd, 2017. So three years and a couple months. Yeah. Played for 15 whole hours. A majority of that was probably just sitting in the ship trying to land it on a dock or something like that. Huh.
I personally, it's a really fun game. I enjoy it, but as I've said before, it's just.
When was the last time you played it?
I'm trying to see here if it shows me. I can see my time. Where does it say last played on here?
Right in Steam. I don't have it installed. Maybe that's why it tells me that.
Yeah, it's not showing me. I just see the number of hours. Huh. So I'll look somewhere else.
All right. So yeah, that's Elite Dangerous Q&A. If you want to go, there's a couple of other questions in there that you can go ahead and take a look at. Let's see here. We talked about that. Oh, Apex Legends.
Yeah, they have their new season 8 out. They just released, and there's a number of videos kind of showing off. So they have a dev stream which is really long. I put it in the show notes so people can go check it out on their own. It's about 35 minutes for the dev stream, but there's also some announcements, a new character and the battle pass that they've released, and there's a video for that if you want to play that really quickly just to show people what is new. So there's a new character called Fuse. And then there is a battle pass.
All right, let me see here. So let's look at the new player first. This is Fuse. If this will work for me, yes. Let's take a look at this new player.
Covered head to toe in all things that go boom, Walter Fuse Fitzroy is a one-man wrecking crew, and damn proud of it.
If there's dirty deeds need doing, I'll do them dirt cheap.
A former mercenary and a true connoisseur of explosives, Fuse can rain down destruction from an exceptional range.
Never met a problem a compound explosive couldn't fix.
Able to stack one more grenade per inventory slot, Fuse's mechanical arm allows him to throw ordnance farther, faster, and more accurately.
Back on Salvo, they call me the Grenado Tornado.
His grenade arsenal also features a cluster bomb that continuously expels airburst explosives on impact.
Don't you worry. Fuse, you'll make sure you go out with a bang.
But when the big guns need to come out, Fuse is more than up to the task.
Time for a little shock and awesome.
Affectionately known as Wally, Fuse rains the ultimate fire from the sky.
Motherload incoming.
Launching a mortar that explodes and surrounds his adversaries in a ring of fire.
Let's get rowdy.
This beloved Salvonian champion sacrificed everything to join the games.
Just wasn't your moment, kid.
And nothing is going to stop him from bringing a little mayhem to the sport.
Righto. Time you pups see what an old dog can do.
All right, so that is out as of today. So that's the new character, and then we've also got a trailer for the whole new battle pass. So let's take a look at that.
It's time to bring the boom.
I told you, the buck stops with me.
As you explode into the mayhem of our all-new battle packs. Jam-packed with rewards, chaos reigns as legends take it to the extreme. With a twisted new set of cosmetics.
Next round's on me.
Delve into the dark side of Lifeline as she goes bad to the bone, while wreaking havoc with the chained beast Flatline.
You looking for a rhythm? I gotcha beat.
And unleash your inner warlord and take radical action as Bangalore exerts her dominance with the reactive DMR X1 longbow.
Too slow on the draw.
Legends can take their personal experience to the edge with the dynamite set of new music packs, loading screens, banners, and gun charms. A new set of quips and holo sprays bring the swagger. And show off the fiery new skydive emotes as you blaze towards an obliterated Kings Canyon. It's time to light the fuse and bring the bruise. So let's go full blast into shock and awesome.
Didn't you hear, mate?
Only with the Season 8 Battle Pass.
Next time you want to take a swing at Fuse, don't.
All right. So with this also, Brian, we had the final announcement, or not the final announcement, but the official date rather for the Nintendo Switch version of Apex, which we've talked about in the past. So the official date for that is March 9th, and that will be available on the Nintendo Switch, obviously free of charge. It's a free-to-play game. But yeah, they'll be adding the Switch to their repertoire. I don't want to say a little late. I mean, the Switch is popular. I know Fortnite, at least at one point, did pretty well. I'm not sure if it still does.
No.
But I guess we'll have to give this a try. Do you have a Switch in your household now? Do any of your stepsons have Switches or?
I don't think. No, they don't. My
Switch is a cool device.
One of my nephews has one, but they don't have any. So I've never really played much on one. I've tried it. I've played it for a few minutes, but that's pretty much it.
I've had mine for an extended period of time and have. I know this is going to be a real shocker to you, Brian. Haven't really played it.
Yeah.
I played about 25% of Zelda, and that's it. So great use, great use of my $300. I'm glad I spent it.
I've always thought about getting one, but I'm like, well, would I really play it? Like I have consoles and everything else here.
No, you will not.
I don't do mobile game. I don't play generally when I'm out somewhere because I'm usually focusing on something or driving.
Yeah, so there you go. That's Apex. A couple cool things for Season 8, a new character, and then obviously the Nintendo Switch version of the game. So cool stuff from them.
All right, so let's go through. Let's talk really quickly about Ylands or Ylands as they prefer. There are a couple little updates here. There's actually a video if you want to play that. I don't remember if there's talking on it, but it's showing off one of the new ships.
Okay,
yeah, it's pretty short. I think it's just music mostly.
All right.
It's called the Junk Ship. So it's a new vessel type.
Interesting, just to say the least.
and speaking of kind of going off into the sunset like that, their community manager is also leaving the team. In this same post, they talk about that, how he's going off to do something else, and they're currently looking for replacements. So if you want to be a community manager for Bohemia Interactive,
Brian, this has got you screaming it, dude. Come on.
I don't want to dye my hair a different color.
I was gonna say no. This is the you can be the trendsetter of community managers. An adult,
the first one without purple hair.
I'm saying an adult, gray hair. Maybe that's the trend that's coming in. But an adult, somebody that's mentally stable, marginally. I mean I'm just saying. You've always talked about video games. I'm just saying.
I don't know if Bohemia Interactive is the best place to start for community management.
Then you could do some projects over at DayZ. I heard they're
in
desperate need.
I mean, with all the 12, I'd have to deal with all the 12-year-olds that play this game, and then or go and deal with all the people that play DayZ. I mean,
all the 14-year-olds that play DayZ.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's the same difference.
Another thing,
the ship thing looks cool.
Yeah, so they've added that, and also they've added a goodie pack, which has 4 new creatures in it, some new building blocks and gear and armor, things like that. That adds that junk ship in there, and a kayak. They also did a couple tweaks and fixes with that patch as well. So that is out as of today. So it came out on the 2nd. So if you play this game, you should notice a couple things that are new.
All right, very cool. Let's see. Let's talk about Unturned for a second. Let's see what we got here. This is update 3.21.4.0. And what we've got in this, I'm not going to fall for this crap again because I did last week and the week before. They added an item icon for anti-aliasing graphical option. Use auto icon measurements per item asset Boolean setting has been added. Override vertical field of view setting in the preference file. So I guess if you're doing something with a mod, that you want to be able to disable whatever your view is set to. And then support for bulk replacing objects in the level editor. Not reading anything else because I don't want to look like a jackass. So they've changed some other things as well. But yeah, that's Unturned. Not a crazy big update. And they also, one of the other things they did is they condensed several duplicate audio clips. So maybe the game trying to, that's a QOL thing, quality of life. When you're finally getting around to cleaning up little loose ends like that. So good stuff from Unturned.
All right. And now, do you have the ability to play a video on the fly?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, Sea of Thieves had their video, and I didn't put the actual video in there. I had a link to the articles, so I don't know if you want to kind of get that ready. But Sea of Thieves, they have their 2.0.21 version. Now, this is their season 1 that they're doing. Remember we announced that they were going to start doing a season pass type of a system. So they're officially releasing season 1, and here is the video for that.
Sea of Thieves Season 1 is here, bringing players 3 months of new features, events, and updates, as well as a whole new way to progress and earn rewards as you play the game. Revel in living the pirate's life as you progress through 100 levels, unlocking fantastic rewards which are free to all players, including the Frostbite clothing set, and Season 1 ship, and player cosmetics. There's exclusive rewards for pirate legends too, giving them ample opportunity to flex their legendary status. And for pirates that want to get a little extra for their escapades, you can also purchase the additional Plunder Pass to earn 11 premium items from the Pirate Emporium. This includes the brand new Dark Warsmith weapons, and Silver Skull sails, which are exclusive to the Plunder Pass until the end of Season 1. This season also launches with an all-new Merchant Alliance voyage, where you'll have to take on the role of detective and go on the hunt for a fleet of missing trade ships and their lost cargo. Uncover their fate and return the cargo manifest to the Merchant Alliance for gold and reputation. And if you manage to secure the captain's cabin key, plunder the loot for yourself. Salvage enough of these sunken bounties, and you'll earn these rather fetching new Merchant Alliance sails. And alongside that, there's new events too. We're kicking things off with the Champion of Souls event, where you'll vanquish skellies and ghost ships to gather their soul fragments. And earn these slick Order of Souls weapons. And we'll be bringing you even more events throughout Season 1. And over in the Pirate Emporium, we've got the new Lunar Festival weapon set and new weapon pose emotes, as well as Lunar Festival costumes and the full Lunar Festival ship set. So get ready to experience all new adventures, earn renown, and reap the rewards with Sea of Thieves Season 1.
All right, there we go for Sea of Thieves. Now, I'll tell you this, Brian. This whole, since we've been talking about the game, they don't really make any game improvements. I mean, at this point, the game is almost which I'm not saying is a bad thing. I'm just like, as we go on and on, the game is literally only cosmetics. This whole Season 1.
I think they do a few fixes. They do some fixes with each patch in the background, but they don't make a big deal of it. But they're not really doing like, oh, here's a huge new amount of content. They'll do content it seems like maybe 4 times a year. They'll maybe do a content patches. Maybe that's their patch cycles. They work on content for a quarter, release it, because it seems like they'll put out something that'll maybe change adding new islands or something you can loot or whatever it is. But then mostly between that, it's all cosmetics, which probably will change a little bit now that they're doing the season pass rather than doing patches where it seems like every patch is cosmetics. They'll just roll out season passes, which put out a ton of things.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. Like the last thing they added, was it the cat or was it a dog? It was like the most. That's the last.
Yeah, they did the dog, the cats, and then they did the dogs before that, and then they've been doing things like that.
November or something like that. It's been a little bit. Which is, I mean, it's fine. People Sea of Thieves is one of these games
if the game works well, I don't hear people complaining about it.
Yeah, I mean, what new feature do you add to a game that you're sailing around and shooting at other ships? I mean, it's not the concept isn't crazy. It's not like Atlas. So yeah, I guess I know a pass system is not always the sexiest thing in the world. I know that's a big turnoff to a lot of people, but I guess if you're a hardcore Sea of Thiever, this might be better than whatever other option was available. So yep, that is out, and you can check it out.
Very good. All right, do we want to talk a little bit about XERA?
Yes, I do. We got a message from our friend Joshua over at XERA this past week, talking and actually showing us some things. Now, they did release a devlog with some patches, and then also gave us some other stuff. So let's take a look at this update first. This is 7.4, and included in this is something that is very, very, very reminiscent of H1Z1. This is the cosmetic trade-up system. This is at one point H1Z1 had this, where you put in all of your
the grinder. Was it called the grinder?
Yeah. Was it the red trucker caps that you would just put in?
Oh yeah, I had so many of those.
You would grind these up. So the way that this works is you can exchange 10 cosmetics from the same season and rarity into one cosmetic item that is a rarity higher in that season. So it'll give the opportunity that if you play a lot but maybe just don't luck out with your cosmetics, that you can still get
turn in 10 greens, get a blue. You can
something
turn
like
10
that.
Blues, get a purple, that style.
So it does allow it allows people that maybe just don't have the luck card to actually get some of these cool skins, because it is totally R&D.
Yep.
So they've got that in there. And the other thing, and I want to verify. He did say we could show these images, I think.
The four photos that are right above the cosmetic trade ups,
we can show those.
Are the ones we can show. Yes.
Okay, perfect. And I believe we are seeing these first. We saw these a couple weeks ago. We just couldn't talk about them. These are the first screenshots from their base building system that we've been talking about. It's on the roadmap. Brian and I saw some rough drafts of these back in, let me see if I can pull this up. We saw some rough drafts of this back in mid-January. We were given a little sneak peek, but we couldn't talk about it. So here's one picture here. You can see this is kind of the outskirts of a base. You can see the what looked to be tree trunks with a pointed top, so that you can, similar to like a barbed wire system for that. Here's inside of a base system here. Modular, as you can tell. You can see all of these, 2x2 or 4x4 blocks that are here. Plus, this looks to be some sort of unmanned turret system. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Something like the junk turret from 7 Days to Die or something like that. That's pretty neat looking, and you can see how that's up on a platform just looking over the wall. Here is another further back view. You can see the extensive wall system. You can actually see two different heights, right? There's a higher system here on some stilt looking thing, and then just the regular rest of the walls on the ground. And then finally, here's yet another view of that, what appears to be roaming turret system. And you can see a pretty extensive platform system that is raised up. Some of the platforms, as you can see, are just anchored directly into the ground. Some of them are on top of other platforms. So looks to me to be a very much a Ark or Rust style of building with the modularity. I think we've both been critical from day one and said that this game needed a base building system. You can only
run more like a survival, less like a BR.
You can only run around in a world and kill zombie robots so much. That is only fun for so long. There's got to be something that is yours that you get, that you want to protect. You don't want to lose. You have to have that. You have to have that.
Yeah.
That constant factor. And I don't think skins or costumes or legendary items is that big of a draw for enough people. You've got your fringe people where that's what they care about. But for the majority of people, you need a base building system. And I will say, I think that's the reason that Miscreated has struggled so hard with its player base, is because it's got such a crappy base building system that there's nothing to play for. You just run around in the town until you die, and then you don't play anymore. Yep. So this is what they're working on. Josh did say that there is going to be a dev vlog within the next week or two that's going to be explaining more of that. And yeah, we'll go over that when it's available. So it is cool that we do have that open line of communication with them, and he has already told us that when they are ready to announce this base building system more in depth, that they'll be coming on the show here. So we'll hopefully have an interview with him and his team, or somebody from his team, over the next couple months as they get ready to roll this into the game. So cool stuff from XERA. Already, it's already got the networking. It's got a lot of the things that some other games struggle with. Hopefully they can nail out base building. And yeah, looking forward to that being in game. Very cool.
Cool. All right, let's you mentioned it a few minutes ago, but let's talk about Atlas. They did put out a patch. Now, they did a teaser of the Seahorse, if you remember correctly, last week.
Yes. Oh, yes.
That is now in they have released that. So they do have some details of this. First of all, it is something you can tame. You can breed it. It eats seaweed and sea grapes, so that's its favorite food. It is a passive tame, so I assume that's something to where you gather seaweed and sea grapes and you feed it. It doesn't require a saddle. Now, it has two different attacks. It has a venomous bite, and then it has an acid spit. So those are... They have also added into the game a new medicine called Antidote. I assume maybe because of venomous bite, you get poisoned. They're introducing poisons to this, so they now have something that'll counter that. They added a new tool called Crude Tool. It's about a quarter of effective as the hatchet. It will break very fast, but it only costs 1 stone and 10 fiber to make. Also, the dolphins can now harvest coral and seaweed. I guess seaweed, so that you have that food to tame the seahorse with. And then they did some bug fixes for it. They did some adjustments to the flame ballista. The glider suit has been tweaked, and they've been tweaking the loot drops, the resources, the ships, tweaking the tame, some like the rabbits, for instance. There's constantly working on this. I don't know if it's to a point. I don't know what point it'll be where we'll be like, hey, that's interesting. Let's try it again as a multiplayer game. But I wouldn't be surprised. They almost should make like a single player mode where they take you through a story just to get people interested in getting into it. I don't know. I don't know what's going to take to get people to actually play this again.
Do you know how long that would take?
Depends on,
this game's been out for this game's been out for 3 years. Actually, 3 years. I
don't know that there's one thing they can do that's going to make people say, oh, I got to try that again. I mean, maybe it'll get good enough after a long period of time to where it'll kind of make a recovery, but they're going to always be battling with the same type of thing that No Man's Sky has been battling with. Bad launch, people just lost interest. They're not willing to give it a second chance.
Okay, but I will say this, and this is shocking. In No Man's Sky defense, the game is actually pretty good now from what I understand. I haven't personally played it. The problem I see with Atlas is it's kind of a crappy version of a bunch of other games. It's kind of Sea of Thieves a little bit. Sea of Thieves is obviously a lot better.
With not quite as good of like fighting and sea mechanics.
It's kind of like Ark. It's got taming and a little bit of base building, but not as good. It does a bunch of things somewhat well, but nothing great. And that's the issue. If you want a really cool pirate game, go play Sea of Thieves or Black Wake or one of those other games. If you want to play Animal Simulator, go play Ark or another game like that. It's not super unique, and it doesn't really do anything very well. The one cool thing that it was originally supposed to do was have these massive sprawling clan systems. That seemed to be pretty cool. And the whole territories with the flags and the factions, that seemed really cool. But they ended up having to remove all that crap because it got griefed and it just didn't work. So they just it's just they don't do anything very well because they're in the middle of a pirate simulator and Ark, and they do both pretty crappily in my opinion. So that's where they're stuck.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know that
you can't be both. You have to either be a sea game or a land game, and this is where they've struggled because they're neither.
They wanted to be They wanted it to be a big MMO that had a little everything. So you'd have certain groups of people that were focusing on sea, you had other groups of people that are focusing on land, and everybody did a little bit of each. But there's not enough players to where you have to do everything.
But if you remember, though, back when it first came out, it was only a sea game, but because the combat and whatnot wasn't great,
you would claim things, but then, you're mainly using your land things just to build ships to get on the sea. That was the only point. Now they're trying to kind of pull you in.
But see, and that's the problem is instead of resolving or figuring out how to master the water side of the game, they just decided to, we'll kind of just make it like Ark. So you build a farmhouse and then a windmill for power, and then that's gaining all these passive resources. Instead of just fixing the core of the game, they added these other mechanics, which I understand they needed, but it doesn't do anything very well. And again, I haven't played it in a while, but I think its player count would prove that my point is probably accurate. Because Sea of Thieves is incredibly popular, and Ark is incredibly popular.
Yep.
So what's the problem with this game?
I think you nailed it on the head. Of it just doesn't do any of them perfect, like better than anyone else. It does. There's no thing to draw it. Like if you're interested in ship combat, there's 2 other games that do it very well. If you're interested in anything else, that's pretty much Ark. Beyond the ships, this is Ark, but not as good.
It's like trying to build a house with a multi-tool.
Yeah.
You can sure as hell give it a try.
Yeah.
But your house is probably not going to be very good. And you'll probably kill yourself before you're said and done. It's great in a pinch. Great in a pinch. But you don't want to build a house with a multi-tool. And I think that's exactly what Atlas
they're
is
having to
into.
totally reinvent the game because it didn't take the whole 40,000 people per server just didn't happen.
It's unfortunate.
So, what are they? They're having to reinvent the game where they almost should just start over on the whole concept. If you're not going to have 40,000, if it's not going to be an MMO with 40,000 people, redo it, thinking of it with smaller servers like you do with Ark, or implement these features in Ark. Give Ark a better ocean system. Yeah, maybe
that'll be part of Ark 2. Or whatever.
Maybe that's their solution to all of this. They're just working on testing technology and all these other things.
It's possibly, and it's not just me because it's got a 46% positive rate on Steam, so people just don't like it.
They're not taken to it.
It's unfortunate. It is what it is. I give them credit. At least they update the game sometimes. So.
Yeah, they're trying.
I'll give them that. Let's see. We are running a little long.
Let's quickly go over ROE, Ring of Elysium. Okay. They added 2 new characters. That seems to be what they do lately. It looks like a nerdy military photographer. Nerdy. Oh, he's a press guy. Okay, so he's the war correspondent.
We showed these, didn't we?
Yeah. No, not this one. This one was released on the 28th.
I think we showed this. Maybe that was a pre-release.
I think you've seen the Fox face.
Okay, I'm not crazy then.
I think, but we haven't seen this guy. So this is the war correspondent. So he's nice. He's got a press badge. You can run around like him. And then they have the fox hunter, which maybe they had like a different. I don't remember that coloring with the horns. So maybe it's a little variation on it or something. But
it's interesting.
Yeah,
to say the least.
That is the update for that. Last Oasis, they put out. With Last Oasis, just play the video really quick because all it does is show their new vehicle, and this is called the Big Bomba. And this is.
Why can't I find it? Oh, there it is. I got it. All right, here we go.
Yes, this is the Big Bomba. We can talk over it because they just play music.
Oh, okay.
While they do this, but so this is the new vehicle that is pretty much a bomber. So you run in towards the thing you're chasing, and once you get close enough, the thing just explodes.
Oh, kamikaze!
Yeah, so you're pretty much a kamikaze in this.
Damn, that's pretty neat, actually. I like that.
To try to blow up other people's. Other than that, it's tweaks and
that's
things.
cool.
But that was
man.
something pretty cool.
So you're gonna put all this time and resources into making something, and its goal is to self-destruct. That's very cool. That's a very cool mechanic.
Then you can blow up some of the bigger walkers, because you don't really have anything that you need. So you're running up and blowing up something of someone's that has a bunch of resources or, costs them a lot. So a new feature there. And then Rocket League came out with an update, and then Rust we have a video for that, but we can do those next week.
We can. The Rust video is pretty short. It's only like 2 minutes. So are you good on time?
Yeah, no, I'm fine.
Okay, all right. So let's do this Rust video real quick. We'll check in with our friend Shadowfrax, and then we will wrap up the show right after this.
Greetings, survivors and friends. Shadowfrax here with a quick addendum to yesterday's update, because I mentioned the new drones, but didn't have all the info at the time to be able to say how they were going to be used. Now I do. So here it is. At the moment, drones will be NPC only and have a specific function. So I believe probably at the compound and maybe also the bandit camp, you'll find one of these marketplaces. And if you're interested, one of these can be spawned on the staging branch only at the moment for testing by admins with Spawn Marketplace in the console. They have 3 terminals each, which all do the same thing. If you use one, it will show you every compatible vending machine and shop on the map, and that includes player ones, scientist, bandit, etc. You can then see what's for sale at each, how much it costs, and regardless of whether you have Amazon Prime, there will be a delivery charge. Why? Well, drones aren't cheap, that's why. Let me show you how this works. So, I built a small vending machine of my own over here. It sells a couple of items, very reasonable I'd say, but I'm way too lazy to walk the 30 odd feet to get there. So, if I go to the marketplace, I can see it on the map, click on it, and view items for sale. There's also a delivery charge for my laziness of 20 scrap. This amount is, of course, subject to change. It could end up going down or up, but I believe it will be a flat fee regardless of distance to the vending machine and quantity of items being bought. Now, all I have to do is place my order, and a special red drone will pop out of the top of the marketplace and do my shopping for me. I then just have to wait for it to get there, do the deal, and get back, which will of course depend on where it's going. There, click and collect. Perfect for knockdown. Some things to note here, just trying to preempt your questions. No, you can't shoot them down and nick the stuff.
Come on.
They are impervious to any such attempts. There is a 300-second window during which only the person who ordered the items can access the terminal's inventory. Vending machines can only be ordered from as long as the drone can safely access them, and they aren't blocked off. Trying to block the drone in won't work, and you can't block it with your stupid body. And no, you can't ride them. Hopefully I've covered everything obvious there. The plan is for these to go live on the release branch with the next forced wipe on February 4th, and although this is all they will be used for initially,
collision.
I think there may be an expansion of their uses later on down the line. So
Can't
subscribe
shoot it.
and stay tuned so I can tell you when other stuff happens. Thanks for watching.
At some
Please
point
leave a
they're going to
like,
let
follow me
you
on Twitch, Twitter,
shoot
Facebook,
it.
Discord, or my Steam group.
What? They're not. Brian. Brian, you're wrong. You say Rust does everything they do for their community. This is a lie. You should be able to blow this thing out of the damn sky. You should absolutely be able to ride it, and you should absolutely be able to box it in when it's flying somewhere. That's
well.
fun.
I bet you eventually they'll get there.
The fact that you can't now, I do like the idea of the inventory of it only being available for a certain period of time, but I don't like the idea that you can't blow it up.
Yeah, I can't imagine that sticking around though.
Because here's the problem. Well, I shouldn't say this is a problem. If you're short on resources now, all you need to do is go to the roof of your base, buy this thing. It'll fly. It'll fly over to you, and you don't have to worry about running out to go buy it at the actual vending machine, right? Because the risk with the vending machine is, well,
you have
as
to
you're
run
standing
there and you have to get back.
Yeah, and I understand they're charging a premium, 20 scrap, but that's not a very high premium for delivery.
Or no risk from your purchase, yeah.
No risk at all, exactly. So
I can't imagine them not. I bet you once they have it where it's working well, that they'll turn on collision. I'm not that they'll let you write it. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. But I bet you at some point they will let you shoot them down so you can try to steal whatever is being delivered.
Yeah, I think
that seems very like a Rust thing to do.
That's what I'm saying. Very much a Rust thing to do. So, all right, that was from our friend Shadowfrax. I think we covered it all.
Except, I mean, Rocket League, they added in the I think they're NFL skins.
Okay. Just in time for the Super
added an
Bowl?
arena, I think. Yeah, I think they added in some things. We didn't talk about Fortnite, but we can cover that next week because there was a number of things for that.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a bunch of skins. They have their new season pass. I think they're the Rocket Pass, the Pro tiers. So nothing too crazy, mostly cosmetics.
And it looks like their Super Bowl stuff started this morning at 8:00 Pacific.
Yep.
Their Super Bowl celebration, it includes I think it's car, new challenges, and then the fan pack that you can buy from the shop. So that's cool.
Yep.
Super Bowl coming up this weekend. Yeah, Sunday. So all right. Anything else before we do current players, tip of the week, and wrap it up?
I think we're ready.
All right. Well, with that being the case, let's take a look at some video games and the people currently playing them. Starting it off with DayZ, 18,538 currently playing that. The 24-hour peak, 33,153, with a 7-day peak of 39,645. Taking a look over at ARC, 47,159 individuals currently playing that. The 24-hour peak, 71,405, with a 7-day peak of 88,554. Looking at Rust, while yes, the numbers are still very impressive, the Twitch drops are no longer active, and that has had a huge impact on its current players. Down about 56,000 from last week at this time. 100,997. Still incredible, but way down. Same thing with the 24-hour peak, 140,374, and a 7-day peak, 185,171. Taking a look at Conan Exiles, currently playing 8,861, the 24-hour peak 13,215, with a 7-day peak of 16,002. And finally, wrapping us up, 7 Days to Die, the longest this game has ever had a player count after a patch. 21,502, the 24-hour peak rather, 25,046, with a 7-day peak, almost 35,000, 34,082. Pretty impressive numbers there from 7 Days to Die. We don't normally see that, but obviously they've hitting a point with stability and whatnot that people are hanging around after a large patch, which is something that they always struggled with.
And it'll be interesting to see when their next patch comes out. I haven't heard a lot about it, which means they're probably working on some big thing they're going to release into this, but I'll have to go check it out.
Yeah, it's been, we've shown a couple pictures. It's just been, I think their big thing with this one has been HD textures. I know they just redid some zombies. We showed some bears or dogs or something a couple weeks ago. So yeah, I think this is a big, they're trying to purdyify the game because it is not great.
Yeah. So, and they did hire on a couple of new people for doing graphics and everything. But yeah, they put their 19.3 out a little over a month and a half ago. And just kind of waiting for we'll see what they do next. So, all right, let's go ahead and roll on to tip of the week, where either I go through a general gaming tip or one for a specific game. And I figure we'll have talked about Last Oasis for a little bit. So that'll be my tip of the week. All right, there we go. Locked up for a second. All right, so one thing in Last Oasis I haven't really talked about are quality levels of items. So item levels go up to 100 in the game, and the resources that you can gather go up to 100 as well. So if you're looking at a resource and you want to get a level 100 resource, you need to find one that says 60 plus on it. If you see a 60 plus, and you're getting 88, for example, you need to stop and let the resource will actually go up to 100. So once you get that, maybe if it doesn't say 100, leave it alone for a while. Move on to another one. Some will stop at a specific level, so there's not a guarantee that it will go to 100. So if that is true, move on to the next one. As you progress in the game, you'll unlock better items. For instance, the pickaxe, the sai, and the axe. Those will need to be high quality level ones to be able to get those high level resources. So if you want to get the level 100 resources, you need to level up the pickaxe and the sai and the axe. Another thing you need to level up is the crafting station to be able to make those. Once you've been crafting and you've got higher level items, you can dismantle your crafting station, remake it, and it makes it a higher quality crafting station. Another thing you can do, that or the biggest benefit of these higher quality items, is not necessarily that they gather more or do anything like that. They're faster and they're more durable. So they will gather more in that they will gather things faster, but you're not gathering more each time you hit. But the durability is one of the biggest things, because it's a very low level item. After so many hits, the thing's broken, you have to repair it or make a new one. With the higher quality items, you can get the higher quality resources, but also they last a lot longer. So this will allow you to keep going and not have it break constantly. So hopefully that helps you out. I haven't really heard anybody talk about the item levels on these, but that is tip of the week.
Alrighty, thank you very much, Brian. Appreciate that. Looks like we got a couple folks entered for our game giveaway. Do we have a winner?
Yeah, so let's go ahead and War Chicken Zero. Zero. I will send you a key here in your Twitch chat. Congratulations. And you have, let's see, what we're giving away, Tabletop Playground. So it's a lot like Tabletop Simulator. If you enjoy it, let us know, because we enjoy tabletop games. The things are very reasonably priced at $15. If it's something you find that works really well, let us know, and maybe be something we could get some people to get and try out and play some games on.
Absolutely. Let's see. We're not back. We're not in the full swing of game of the week. But yeah, that's, if you want to play something, hit us up and pop in the Discord and let us know.
Very good.
I think that's about it. So Brian, where can people find you on the internet?
Yeah, if you want to find me, you can find me at Brian Aldridge on Parler someday and Gab. Also, you can go to my website, biteoftech.com. On the upper right-hand side there, as we get more things, I'll put little links to where you can find me. Also, if you go to infectionpodcast.com, make sure you go to the right-hand side and put join our server on Discord. If you do that, you can join the chat. There's people chatting throughout the week. Also, we have a news channel if you want to post something you think we should be talking about on the show. We also have in there a weight loss and workout channel, a support group, and just a politics channel, all kinds of stuff in there. If you want to get notified before the next show, just join our Steam group. You get a little pop-up right before the show starts. If you want to watch the video form of the podcast, either live or after the fact, you can do that through Twitch, YouTube, through BitChute, or DLive, and we have links for those on the website. If you want to watch the pre and post show, you can do that through the podcast extras channel that Judd does. If you're going to only be listening, maybe on the road or at work, you can do that through the podcast form in the lower right. That is not live, only after the fact, but you have the ability to follow along in the patch notes or the show notes. And that's if you click on the particular episode, there's links for videos and patch notes and all kinds of different things that we refer to throughout the show. And you can follow along. There is a video and audio player in that page, so you can listen to it right there. If you want to support us, you can do that through either the support menu option, or you can go to Infection Podcast or Amazon.infectionpodcast.com, humble.infectionpodcast.com, or through the Prime Gaming subs that you've heard here through the show.
Absolutely.
I think that's it.
And as we mentioned at the top of the show, we will have some plan or solution for a off Twitch subscription service for next week. So we'll have something for you, for everybody asking. There's no excuse, just pure laziness. So we'll get that squared away over the next week or so and have that. So Artie, Brian, as always, thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. And we'll see you next Tuesday. Again, the website, instead of going to Twitch, instead of going to DLive or YouTube, infectionpodcast.com/live. That will always redirect to where we are. We're on Twitch.
Yep.
We have no reason to believe we won't be on Twitch, but we are living in some interesting times.
Hey, you never know.
Yeah, exactly. So stay up to date with that. All right, folks. Well, that is going to do it. Let's see. My name is Nick Craig. You can follow me on Gab at Nick. If you missed any portion of this program, you can visit our website, infectionpodcast.com, where you can get links, show notes, pictures, videos, all that fun stuff. each and every week. That's going to do it for another episode, guys. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.